review of Star Trek and Picard. Okay, so first I talk about each TV show and the movies. Finally I talk about Picard. So I started with The Next Generation when I was like 13 or 14. I think I was 14 or 15. And I think it was at like season 6, but that's when I started getting into it. And I loved it. I adored it. And I remember my friend came over and we watched the last episode, All Good Things. And he had a Star Trek shirt, like an official, captain shirt. So there you go. The Next Generation is pretty much a 10 out of 10. It's like one of my top 10 favorite shows of all time. Then Deep Space Nine comes out, and that's like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Like, I don't even think I finished it. Like I didn't come tune in every week or anything. It was pale compared to the brightness of The Next Generation. See, Deep Space Nine was like, again, Star Trek The Next Generation light. But it was pretty cool because it went into it got deeper into the other species, like the Ferengi. We got to learn about their cultures and stuff. So it expanded the universe. So although it wasn't a great show, it was very much in the spirit of Star Trek, as far as I'm concerned, about going where no one's gone before, really, dealing with new ideas. Yeah, there was way too much drama, but still. And it got much better towards the end when they started bringing in the war with the Dominion. That's when the last 2 seasons were like the best of that show. Then Voyager came out and that was half as good as Deep Space Nine. That's like a 3 out of 10. And yeah, it got better towards the last 2 seasons when they brought Q and the Borg in because they realized their show sucked. But the funny thing is that I forget his name, Roger. One of the guys, if not the guy who created Voyager, was the same guy who wrote all of the Klingon storylines in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and he wanted Star Trek to be more gritty and not so idealistic. And to me, idealism is what Star Trek is all about. And he ended up doing Battlestar Galactica, which I hated. I really didn't like it. Everybody loves it, though. And they love it because it's gritty, which is what I don't like about it. But it's kind of interesting because Battlestar Galactica is what he was trying to do with Voyager, but wasn't able to do. Because it's kind of the same story. They're trying to get to Earth. And along the way, I watched the original Star Trek movies, and I didn't like any of them, really. I loved the Next Generation movies, except for Insurrection. All the other ones, though, I loved them. Never watched the original series until this year, or last year, and wasn't very impressed. I think you'd have to have grown up with them. Enterprise was shit, except for the Xindi episodes, and that's just a few of them. Otherwise, shit. Oh yeah, okay, so that stupid movie, the J.J. Abrams movie. As soon as I saw the preview for it, they were like, making in construction. And I'm like, wait, so you're going back to Kirk and Spock? And isn't the main idea to go boldly go where no one's gone before, but you're going back to Kirk and Spock? That's like the opposite. You're going the opposite way. You're cowardly going where everybody's been before. And then it comes out and everybody's going on about how great it is. I finally watch it and I'm like, yeah, it's very clean, it's very action-packed, but again, it's not in the spirit of Star Trek because they're just rehashing old ideas. And I was telling my friend, I'm like, Star Trek shouldn't be about characters. It should be about like ideas and exploration. And this is just an action movie. I go, this is like a Star Wars movie. And at the time, I said, J.J. Abrams should do a Star Wars movie. Also, I thought it was very gimmicky, like everybody shows up at the right place at the right time, and it's more about fate. Star Trek was never about fate. It was about like science fiction. Science fiction isn't fate. Fate is like fantasy. How the hell does Kirk end up on the same planet that both Spock and that other guy, Scotty, they're all three of them on the same planet. And Everything's just so conveniently put together. And then the second one, I think it was called Into Darkness. I was like, this is like Die Hard. It's like about a terrorist blowing up a building. It need not even be on space, in space. And the third one was just more of the same shit. Discovery, I was willing to give it a good chance, and I was into it right up until the second last episode of the first season, or the last episode. I mean, if they were able to pull off a good ending, I would have thought it was pretty good. Considering that it wasn't about exploration, it was not about idealism, it was all action, and it was the past. But I was willing to give it, and it could have been, if it ended well, yeah. But the way it ended, that last episode, I was like, it's like they took everything they were building the whole season and just gave it this stupid, cheesy Disney ending. Happy little ending. And it just destroyed everything that they had built. And I had no interest in season 2, and I didn't watch any of season 2. And I never will. So then Picard, right? One of the producers of Picard is this guy Alex Kurtzman, who everybody hates. And I don't understand why he's credited as a writer when he clearly doesn't give a shit about Star Trek. I mean, everybody says he just wants to make money. So why do you need to be credited as a writer, and why do you need to write? Just make the money if you're money hungry. If you don't care about Star Trek, why bother writing? You arrogant asshole. Like, you just have to put your footprint on it, right? Just like Michael Bay. But my attitude was like, just for nostalgia, I'll watch it. It'll be worth seeing Picard, and if I get to see Data, it'll be incredible. And that's all I'm expecting. That's all. I don't care how bad it is. The first episode started really strong. First episode I thought was pretty good, and I got very excited. However, I was like, I hope that they're not blowing their wad on the first episode, and then they got no idea where they're going. But there's a couple warning signs in that first episode. One of them was so wonderful to see Data again. That was just worth the price of admission. One of the warning signs, though, was how they introduced this girl, Vosh, as a main character, and then she dies right away, only to be replaced by her twin sister. And it's like, that is like a fake out, You're basically pretending she's dead just for dramatic purposes and nothing else. It doesn't suit the story whatsoever. It wasn't necessary. It was also ridiculous how she comes to Picard. She says, "Oh yeah, I came all the way to come and see you." And then the next scene she leaves. And then he goes and he finds her. And it's like, so what was the point of her coming in? What, you come to see him and then you leave right away because it's not safe for him? So you're an idiot? Like, you changed your mind? It was just a case, again, for dramatic purposes. We want to have a little bit of plot twists just for the sake of plot twists because we got an hour to kill. We got to have something happen, so we'll say that this happened. I still don't understand why he says that this Daj and the other one are Data's daughters when Data didn't create them. They were made based on, I think, research of Data's positronic network, but that doesn't make them his daughters. Because wasn't it the doctor that made them? But of course, episode 1, you're ready to give it every benefit of the doubt. It all, who knows where it's going to go, right? No way of knowing. I mean, Breaking Bad, if you judged it by the first episode, you'd have no idea whether it was going to be good or bad. Second episode, he tries to recruit his old friend Rafi. She says no. It's a fake out, again, because she says no just so that we can then see like some character development where she finally agrees. It's like refusing the call to action. And I'm just so sick of that in every movie. And I think this episode you really see the warning signs, like the dialogue is crap. These characters are just saying obvious stuff. Picard is acting like an idiot. He doesn't have any of the integrity that he displayed prior. He's always kissing everybody's ass. Nobody shows him any reverence. Everybody's like, call it like getting angry at him, and he's like apologizing constantly. Great idea. He's lost all of his standoffishness, which was kind of his charm, right? Because you always knew he was like a master at restraint. He shows no restraint. He's hugging everybody all the time. And I don't care if his character, if it's realistic, because his character has developed in 20 years since we've seen him. Because all that matters to me is that he's now like a, whiny old man and he's not the Picard that I liked. It's like he degraded then. I mean, you can say it's real, but realistic, but it doesn't make it good or fun. Third episode, I think, I don't know, like these all just blend together because nothing really happens. So they introduce this, the Romulan brother and sister who are plotting, and they introduce, you get to see Daj and her romance. Since when has Star Trek been a romance show? And everybody's bickering and talking about how they're going somewhere or trying to go somewhere, but nothing ever happens. Like for the whole time. Yeah, so pretty much episode 2 through 6 is just, okay, so episode, 3, Hugh shows up. That's the only good thing about that episode. Episode 4, I think, 7 of 9 shows up. That's the only good thing about that episode. And then one of those next episodes, Riker and Troy show up. That's the only good thing about that episode. And the rest is pretty much everybody just sitting around playing with the yo-yo or playing checkers or bickering or going for a stroll. It's just everybody just hanging out doing nothing. And I can do that. I don't need to watch Star Trek to do that. I can do that myself. Every new character sucks. Data's, quote, daughter acts completely like a human, so she might as well be a human. There's nothing cool about her. They bring in this samurai who looks like an elf on Lord of the Rings. He even almost practically has a bow and arrow, or a ninja, like a samurai elf. It's so ridiculous. And who would use a sword in this day and age? And I don't know much about Romulans, but I didn't think they were religious and that they had prophecies. I thought that was more like Bajorans. I thought Romulans were more cold calculating Vulcans, not religious at all. But I don't think they are a suitable villain for this. I think it needed to be better. I think it should have been the Borg, really. What else do you have? You got the Borg, or Q. I'm almost certain they're going to end the thing with Q showing up at the last episode. Cliffhanger so that they'll get renewed. Or Lore. But they should have they should have had Lore be the main antagonist for the whole thing. For the whole first season. Oh, that would have rocked. The Romulans are not good enough at this point in time. We need something better. We've already had the Romulans as a villain and the Cardassians. I mean, don't you want to see Picard going up against the greatest challenge he's ever faced? And that would either be the Borg, or Q, or Lore. It wouldn't be the Romulans. They never stood a chance. The Riker and Troy episode I think 7 or 6, was the second best one because it was just like nostalgia. It was like, okay, let's all just hang out and we can, just have a little sort of reunion. And that's all. It was like a high school reunion. And it was nice for that, fine. If you want to have nothing happen and be slow, that's quaint. They should have just called it Star Trek Reunion and had everybody go on like a holiday, all the whole old cast members come back on the holodeck and or on a new Enterprise and not go for adventures, but just hang out and recount old times. Because if you're going to do nothing, you're going to have everybody do nothing. I'd rather see all the old characters doing nothing than these new people like Diaz and Raffi and Daj and the two Vulcans and the Romulans and the samurai Romulan. And I don't know if this is racist of me or if it just demonstrates the limitations of Star Trek Aliens, but it's a little bit, it takes you out of the picture when you see Asian, Black, Indian Romulans. So they, exactly like humans, they have the same different races. That takes you out of it, and I don't know how to solve that other than just have aliens that aren't any race in particular. They're not white, they're not Asian, they're not Black, they're just Romulan. The 8th episode might have been the biggest letdown, the worst one of all. It's still fresh in my mind too, so let me think about this for a second. Okay, so the scientist on Picard's ship crew, she she kills the doctor, and they're gonna like, they'd be like, you're confined to quarters, put her in the brig. And then she says sorry, and they're like, okay, you're free to roam free. And she's, oh yeah, I've learned my lesson. Since when would it ever work like that? You're a murderer. I was actually thinking after I watched it, I'm like, it's really depressing that people are that stupid that they could write an episode this bad. It's just sad. Like, it really gets me down that they're like practically functionally retarded. Like, you can't fake being a writer this bad. You can't fake being this stupid, because you could tell someone was faking it or they were just being lazy. The fact that the writers are actually trying is what's depressing, because then it really just shows you how dumb they are. I'm not saying they're trying hard, but trying at all is depressing. It's like somebody at a party who's trying to impress everybody, and it just shows. It would be like if you're an art connoisseur and you're used to looking at Picasso and Van Gogh and Monet and Degas and Caravaggio, and then you meet some guy and he's like, oh yeah, I draw in a coloring book. Look at this. And I'm really good at it, and you can tell that they put a lot of work into it, with the crayons and everything. Oh, side note, I want to say how pathetic it is that every other reviewer on YouTube, they all copy the way Red Letter Media says, and so then this happens because reasons. It's like, no, that's Red Letter Media's phrase. Why are you don't get your own phrase? Don't copy and at least know that. I don't think they even know they're copying. And I gotta say, I don't really pay complete attention when I'm watching this, just because it's such bullshit. It's just like watching someone talking for the sake of talking. When you're having a conversation with someone and they're just talking, but they don't actually care about what they're saying, but they're just filling in the silence. So they're not even paying attention to what they're saying, and they're just going on and on and on. And because today, and then I'm going to go and I guess I'll clean my house, and I don't know, I might go to the grocery store, and so yeah, and then there's the baseball game. Oh yeah, the Leafs. Have you heard about the Leafs? Or yeah, you hear about the Brooklyn Dodgers? Yeah, and yeah, there's the baseball. Trump, huh? How about that? Just making conversation, and you tune them out, and they're not even paying attention to what they're saying. I do remember that when I watched this latest episode, Broken something, Broken Star Trek, that I just kept thinking, okay, get away from this. Get away from this stupid plot on the Star Trek on Picard's ship. Just get back to the Borg and Seven of Nine. Kill the samurai, and the 7 and 9 thing, that's much more interesting. Yeah, the worst part of the whole episode was the dude, the captain, Dios, he's in a bad mood. And who really cares why? Doesn't matter, we don't know him well enough to even care. He's in a bad mood, so the girl, Raffi, she's like, okay, I'm going to try to figure out how to cheer him up. And so she starts figuring out ways and talking it out with the holograms. Oh, maybe this is how I'll do it. Oh, maybe this will help. And he's a moody little bitch. And it might as well be like the plot of that is just, oh, he's in a bad mood. Maybe I should bake him a cake. And then she bakes him a cake. And he's like, no, I don't like cake. Maybe I'll bring him a balloon. And I was telling my friend, nothing ever happens on this show. And my friend goes, oh, well, the shows don't always have to have something. Seinfeld was about nothing. Like, Seinfeld was never about nothing. You can identify any episode by, this is the episode where this happens. I always thought that was wrong about Seinfeld. It's not a show about nothing. They get trapped in a garage in this episode. And, in this episode, there's a guy that makes soup, and it's so good, but he's like a Nazi, and he'll cut you off if you don't strictly obey him. That's not nothing, but this is nothing. Like, these plots are just nothing. And in terms of character motivation, we're in trouble when we got to remind ourselves, okay, so why is Picard even doing any of this? Oh yeah, because she's Data's daughter, and he has loyalty to dead Data. Flimsy. Jean-Luc Flimsy Picard. I hope Q shows up in the last episode and goes, Jean-Luc, What's become of you? I should have ended your species. Why did I give you guys a chance? You didn't do shit. And Picard will look at Q and he'll start crying because he's so happy to see him, and he'll hug him. And Q will say, "Fuck off, Jean-Luc." And finally, I'm going to end with what I think is one of the biggest missed opportunities so far. 7 of 9 interfaces with the Borg cube, and connects to all the Borg, right? And then the Borg all start waking up, and I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing. And before I'm even finished getting excited about that thought, the Romulan chick opens up the space thing, and all the Borg go hurtling off into space. Like, I didn't even have a chance to finish being excited by how amazing this moment was going to be, where all the Borg, 7 of 9 controls them all, and they're all gone. Like a second later. Jeez, I mean, I haven't even spent 20 minutes thinking about this, and I'm thinking idly, but what if they had her do that successfully, 7 of 9, and the Borg, they all take over that Borg cube, 7 of 9 gets corrupted like she worried, and then she becomes the new antagonist, fulfilling the prophecy of the danger of the cybernetics, right? Because isn't that what everybody wanted to see, the Borg in action? And wasn't that what they were teasing at the end of the first episode? No, but the writers decided it would be much more exciting to watch the last 2 episodes be about Romulans trying to destroy a planet we've never heard of. Why? Because of a prophecy that we've never heard of before. It hasn't really existed for a long time. Yeah, that is really great. Oh, and this is kind of funny. So the last 2 episodes, episode 7 and 8, are called Et in Arcadia Part 1 and Et in Arcadia Part 2. And, when in doubt and you need to be pretentious and sound smart, just use Latin. And I looked it up, and it means I too am in Arcadia. I don't know what Arcadia is. And I guess they're hoping you don't know. And I think it's a reference, there's a painting called that by some Italian painter. And yeah, when in doubt, reference an Italian painting with a Latin title that refers to some, Greek myth. So, this is great. It sounds really deep, doesn't it? But what's even more pretentious is that episodes 7 and 8 are called Part 1 and 2. They're split into 2 parts. As though a show with only 8 episodes is not already one thing split into 8 parts. Like, what? Jesus Christ. So, my question is there any reason that these last 2 episodes need to be given, what do you call it? Like, designations other than episode 7 and 8? Like, episode 7, part 1 of 2, episode 8, part 2 of... I don't get it. Because in a show that is serialized, right, where it's not episodic, those episodes are not self-contained, you don't really need to... why would you need to designate the last 2 episodes as being part 1 of 2 and part 2 of 2? These are all part 1 of 8, part 2 of 8, part 3 of 8, Like, it's just pretentious. There's no point except to build excitement. I bet you there's going to be no reason. It's episode 7 of 8 and episode 8 of 8, not episode 7, part 1 of 2. Anyways, I'm done, and this is what's going to happen. They're going to suck the last 2 episodes, and then at the last 2 minutes of the 8th episode, they're going to show Q, and that's supposed to solve the whole thing and make it all great and exciting. If you like gays, click like. If you like blacks, comment. If you like women, click notification bell. If you like gay women, subscribe. And if you like gay black women, Patreon, Human Warnings.